Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owens, I'm Oli Davis, and today we're going to be counting down our top 5 Raw moments in Raw WWE history ever universe. Later on in the show, we're going to be getting to a few more of your mailbag questions and talking about some listener observations, all through quite nasally noses, as both of us are quite ill.
Well, actually, I'm feeling a bit better.
Good for you.
But you, on the other hand, you are very much under the weather.
I'm in my jumper. I did today's WrestleTalk news in a jumper. I know people are going to make fun of my jumper.
It's a nice jumper.
But that doesn't stop people from saying, "Oh, look at the jumper, nerd." But it is warm and snuggly.
Yeah.
So I don't care what you have to say because it feels good on my flesh. So yeah, what you been up to, man?
Man, well, I had quite the weekend as my first weekend free, essentially, as my wife was away on a hen do, so I had the house to myself. Oh, man. My brother came over, although I did have a period where I had like a few hours to myself, so I got to play some Final Fantasy VII on the old PlayStation.
Wow.
And I got
What year was that from?
Final Fantasy VII, I want to say 96, maybe 97.
Because that's where your interest stops, isn't it? He gets to about 98 and then I'm done with picking up new hobbies.
Yeah, maybe 2000.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe. It was like 96, 97, maybe even 98. But anyway, so I played that for a little bit and also managed to bust out, because I backed the Ghostbusters 2 board game on Kickstarter and I haven't had anyone to play it with yet. So I got out and I played it on my own. And
you played with yourself while your wife was away.
I do think, though, it's very much weighted in the games. Like, it's almost too difficult. They've taken a lot of the criticisms about the first one, which is like, this is a bit easy. And they've kind of like, they've just weighted it far too much in like you are now going to lose this game column. It's almost impossible to win.
So you can play it by yourself. You weren't sort of running round the other side of the board and taking the next go.
It's a tile game.
Sure.
And then I have the 4 Ghostbusters, and I just take them in turns.
Was there any pink goo?
Yes, there is. Yes, so you have to.
Oh, actual pink goo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a tile.
Right.
And
it's not something like from Monster Blood.
No, it's not like that. No. There are like goo monsters that are actually the miniatures are very, very good, just as they were in the first game. But I think that it is a quite a good little game, but it's too weighted in the game's actual advantage.
Sure.
So not a recommendation from me.
Great wrestling chat to kick off the wrestling video cast.
Well, I haven't watched any wrestling this weekend. My wife did say because my wife listens to How to Wrestling, the podcast, and she actually said to me last week, she goes, "I'm going to watch a wrestling pay-per-view with you." And I said, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah, I feel that sometimes I kind of like just dip in and out. Like if I'm watching it, she sits there for a little bit. Usually if it's on TV, her first question will be, how much longer is this on for? Because she doesn't actually want to watch it. But she said, I'm going to try and watch a whole pay-per-view from start to end. And I get to pick the pay-per-view.
Okay.
So I get to pick any pay-per-view from wrestling history. And so I literally jumped to my first thought, which is Royal Rumble 2000.
Okay.
That was my first one. I was like, it's a small undercard, a couple of short matches on there, which she'll like. And then you got the Royal Rumble spectacle, which has got a whole host of characters in there. The story is very good, going in with Cactus Jack and Triple H. You got The Rock in there and like his feud with the Big Show. So you got some quite nice little dynamics going in there. Plus you have that awesome tables match with the Hardys and the Dudleys. But you do have the Miss Rumble contest.
You see, this is what I was going to say. I don't think you should pick any Attitude Era things for your lady partner, because she does sort of hold male and female genders in a similar regard, doesn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, so she wouldn't like to see all that stuff.
No, but again, I feel like it's the sort of thing to be like, here is all the best and worst of wrestling, rather than just give her like a flawless pay-per-view. Because the thing when you give someone a flawless pay-per-view is that kind of sets standards then.
Yeah.
Oh, like, this is what wrestling pay-per-views are. And then you show them another one and they're like, oh no, well this is a bit rubbish. Because you've also got like a pretty naff triple threat in there with Jericho, Chyna and Bob Holly, and you've got an absolute dog-awful tag match between the APA and the New Age Outlaws, which only goes 90 seconds. So again, like that's kind of like, that's the worst of wrestling, coupled with this amazing tag team tables match, this amazing street fight, and a great Royal Rumble.
So I mean, what does your lady partner like? Because I know if I want to get my lady partner to watch a show, it has to have a lot of high spots and athleticism.
Yes.
She doesn't really care about the characters. Oh, she likes entrances and costumes.
Yeah.
And high spots.
Yes.
She's a mark. That's what she is. So wouldn't you... Because that era, although very good for storytelling and characters, is not so high on really like modern day work rate.
No, but you do, as I said, you have got the big table spots and the big high spots.
But is that something that she... I mean, high spots is in athleticism,
Yeah.
not as in throwing yourself through a flaming table.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
Would she like that?
I think she might do, because when we watched the NXT TakeOver War Games, which she caught like the last 15 minutes of the War Games match, which she thought was very long, those 15 minutes that she saw, the thing that she was like most impressed with was Killian Dane doing his coast-to-coast dropkick. And so I think that she might enjoy seeing like the high spectacles of Jeff Hardy jumping off the
Possibly.
jumping off the balcony and all that sort of gubbins. So I that was my first call. Otherwise, I was thinking of just going with an NXT pay-per-view, maybe from like 2015, 2016, maybe like Brooklyn 1.
With the...
Banks Bailey match.
Yeah, I think that would be a good shout.
That's a corker. Also, shorter. 2.5 hours compared to 3.
Don't want to overload people.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
Like if they think, oh, a film's about 2 hours, a pay-per-view must be the same length, right? Let's sit down. Oh my God, it's 6 hours.
Yeah.
What is this? WrestleMania 38.
Yeah. So that was my first thought, or like WrestleMania X8. But I think WrestleMania X8, no, X7, sorry, X8, X7. But that only really works if you're invested in Steve Austin.
Yeah, I think, you want people to be, that needs a lot of context.
Yeah.
You need something to be a standalone hit.
That's what I was thinking, which is why I thought the Royal Rumble works, because it's the Cactus Jack Triple H, that's the start of their feud.
Do you want to ask me what I did over my weekend?
Well, I was just going to get to Great Balls of Botch, but before that, how was your weekend, Oli Davis?
My weekend was very ill, but
Yes.
I still personed up, to use the gender-neutral term for manned up, and I went to my cousin's wedding. Congratulations, Lawrence and Fiona. And we're all sitting down, and this is the meal part afterwards, and Lawrence is a very big Star Wars fan. So
Good lad.
All of a sudden, this noise starts to happen near the entrance, like... which is my version of the Imperial March.
I was going to say, it sounded nothing like the Imperial
Oh,
March.
it sounded so like that. Not only did it sound like the Imperial March, it sounded like the Imperial March through a set of doors. And that's the genius of that impression.
Okay.
And 5 stormtroopers came in with an admiral. And they were like, we're here to find the rebellion scum. And they went round each table, and obviously they knew the seating plan.
Yeah.
So they had a little routine to go off on each person. Like, would this person stand up? I hear you've insert specific joke about this person I've never met before. One side of the room laughs hysterically. The other side's like, I guess that was funny.
Yeah.
For people who knew what was going on there. But that happened to me. Yes.
You were the one singled out.
So we were on
Very ill, Oli Davis.
Yeah, very ill. I've been in and out of the toilet, sort of dry heaving throughout dinner. And on my father's table, they say, is there a Simon Davis here? And he stands up, yada, yada, yada. They go back and forth. They say, and you have a son? And then like my mum's like, he's over there! He's over there,
That's a terrible impression. Your mother's so nice.
Well, she had a few.
She sounds
so that's how she sounds when she's had a few, which is
like
every
that.
day.
She says nothing like that. She's the nicest woman.
She's pretty lovely, yeah. And so I had to get up in my ill state, go over there, and the Admiral says, Oliver, in front of everyone, I hear you're a bit of a delinquent. And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm so ill. And then he said, I hear you like to dress up as Wonder Woman. And I was like, oh, Christ, the Nan and Grandad are here. And he produced a printout
of you as Wonder Ollie?
Of Wonder Ollie.
No!
Which my cousin had set up. And I said to him afterwards, I was like, nobody else got printouts. Why did I... But he thought it was very funny. It was very funny.
That is very funny.
So not only are my family well aware of Wonder Ollie now,
yeah.
but so are the larger hall of people in that room. So
I had something, not similar, but so my punishment video I did last month.
Oh, Luke, your punishment is coming up soon
Yes,
as well.
we'll be doing the punishment very soon, yeah. My punishment from last month, where I had to cut the crap wrestling promo with the hand puppet while dressed as Captain Luke. I didn't show it to anyone.
Yeah, you were. I thought it was really good.
I mean, yeah, I know. People have told me it's funny, but
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not showing this to anyone. Absolutely.
That was the point you were embarrassed.
I was like,
I was
no.
always wondering where that point was.
It's not embarrassed, but it's like, I don't want to have to admit to people that this is what I do for a living. And like this, I'm quite happy to show people this. This is what I do for a living. This is how I pay my mortgage. That's grand.
What about the spicy challenge? Are you gonna
Absolutely show that.
show people that?
Absolutely show that. But like the crap gimmick one, I was like, I'm not sure I can show people this. So I didn't. However, my mother.
What about TLC and the things we've done like that?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, happy to show all that. Happy to show that.
What is it about the puppet?
I don't know, man. I was just saying about it. I was like, I can't show people this because what if I think it's funny, but then I show it to like my wife, for example, and then she goes like, "That's awful,"
and then she divorces you.
I was like, she goes like, "That's
Yeah.
really not funny," because I think that's what I was thinking. I was like, "This isn't funny," or "This isn't funny enough," and so I was like, "I'm not showing this to people." My mother, however, as she is wont for doing, found it because she is always sharing WrestleTalk stuff on Facebook, so that
Good lady.
so other mothers can see how proud she is of her son for whatever reason, because this is what her 32-year-old has amounted to, and she shared it and tagged me in it, and I was like, I was really hoping no one would find this. And then I got home and my brother was there and my wife was there, and my brother's like, oh yeah, like Mum posted up something today, like with you with a hand puppet. I was like, yeah. So then I had to explain the concept of the punishment videos and explain
crap
gimmick roster. So I suddenly realised like, God, there's a lot to explain here.
Yeah.
For like an outsider to understand this. And I was like, yeah. I was like, did you watch it? And he was like, yeah, I did. And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, cool. And then I heard from the kitchen, my wife go like, oh yeah, I saw it too. And I was like, when did you see it? And she was like, I saw it as soon as it went up, because like I'm on WrestleTalk's like Facebook page.
And
like,
she never said anything.
And she never said anything to me. I think because I didn't show it to her.
And that's why she left you this weekend.
That's why she left.
That's why you've now married to the Ghostbusters
She
game.
wasn't on a Hendo at all.
Oh, mate. Are you okay? Well, I thought you were punching above your weight anyway.
Oh,
I'm surprised it lasts a month.
It's long. That film, I give it a year.
Yeah.
It's like I gave it a month.
Well, shall we let's do some quick Great Balls of Botch before we get into the oh God, we've done a lot of preamble. We've done 12 minutes. People click on and like, oh, top 5 Raw moments. I can't wait to see this. 12 minutes of natter. We're ill. We're not very focused.
We just before we press record, Ollie sent me said like, should we save our rambling for the podcast? And I was like, no, let's do it on the video. We don't ramble enough on the videos anymore.
And this because we're going to put this up, and everyone's going to be like, when do they talk about this stuff?
When do we get to the fireworks factory?
And then there'll be like 3 people who go, oh, I like the rambling, but that will be drowned in a sea of comments of get to the wrestling,
get to the point, man.
So that's why. And we will not do this again for 3 months, and then we'll try it again, and we'll get the same response. Chad, the fishmonger on Twitter, someone who has embodied one of the crap gimmicks in real life.
Love Chad got in touch with us via Twitter because, as you remember, on the last episode when we we signed the hot dog vendor to the crap gimmick roster.
Promising talent.
I didn't want to do this. This was all your booking ideas, but you wanted to book him into a feud with the fishmonger and then had the temerity to call him a mid-carder.
I said upper mid-carder.
You still got him a mid-carder. And I said, he's not going to be happy about that. And lo and behold, he got in touch with us on Twitter today to let us know that he was not happy with management at the moment.
Well, I'm just saying, like, let me defend myself.
This is WrestleTalk headline news.
Fishmonger is a long-running Intercontinental Champion, but he's no Zog. He is no WrestleBot. He's not going to be in my world title mix.
He didn't like WrestleBot either.
So this is what Chad the Fishmonger said. So you two have jokes.
You two clowns have jokes.
So you two clown emoji. So you two clowns have jokes. Upper mid-card guy. I'm the first wrestler drafted to that backwater S-word hole you call a wrestling fed. You expect me to put over an F-word hot dog vendor? Oh no, sell that loser quicker than you can say fish and chips. 3 different fish emojis. Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, fair play, Chad.
And my favourite comment on last Saturday's WrestleRamble, So he's talking about a different show, this guy. Comes from Eric Stark, that just reads, drunk watching WrestleTalk news. WrestleTalk spelt WrestleTalk.
It's an easy mistake to make.
So the actual meat of WrestleRamble comes from this question from David McKenzie via Patreon. He's a $50 backer, pledger.
Yes, I believe he is. Yeah.
So that's how you get your
Yes, he is.
questions
Absolutely.
fast-tracked, straight through the glass ceiling, just smashing in there. And he asks, gents, can we get some top 5s or 10s wrestlers, pay-per-view matches and the like? They think they're a bit of... I think they're a bit of fun, and I'm interested to see who you fellas like. So we talked about this, and we thought, well, we're going to do a lot of our top 5s the week of Christmas, from Christmas Day to New Year's Day, because that's stuff we can get ahead on and then go home and not come and have some time off for a change. And so we're not going to do any like 20 best of 2017s. All of that's going to be in the later end of December. But we thought, hey, we'll be doing this on a Monday. Raw's on a Monday. That's arbitrary enough for us to say, let's count down our top 5 WWE Raw moments ever.
But we decided,
Yes.
because we didn't want to overlap each other's thoughts, that you would pick stuff from the last decade.
Yeah.
So 2007 through to 2017. Oh,
But
have you already broken yours?
It's pretty much 2010 to 2017.
Okay, that's fair enough. So yours are the last 7 years.
Yeah, because there's only so many John Cena, Randy Orton matches I can sit through.
Roman Reigns mismatches.
Yeah.
And mine is from the Attitude Era.
Yeah. So we picked those periods, and we're going to go back and forth. Have you got yours in order? I have.
You have.
Because we could go from 5 to 1, I was
I
thinking.
don't think I've got mine in order. Mine's in no order.
Okay, well, this is order. So rather than a decade, it's just say this decade.
Yeah, this
From
decade.
2010 to 2017.
Very nice. I like it. This
There's
decade.
big blind spots in this, so this is not an exhaustive list.
What are we calling this decade?
The teens, right?
The teens?
Would it be a teens?
Maybe. But
Because the last decade was the noughties.
which I never thought would catch on, and lo and behold, it did. Yeah, okay, let's go with the teens.
Do you think people in the early 19th century called it the noughties?
No.
Doesn't really sound like the sort of thing.
Yeah, and you mean
Seems too
all the
prim and proper.
or the 20th century for that matter.
Yeah, even then. So number 5 for Ollie. Raw, last decade, this decade. Number 5, Mark Henry retirement speech from the 17th of June 2013.
You love this angle, don't you?
It was amazing. So I was such a huge fan of Mark Henry's Hall of Pain run.
Yeah.
Thought, he could have... It was injuries that got the better of him in the end, but that match with Big Show... who was it that it was Randy Orton, I think he first beat to win the title. And then he just was... Just awesome spot after awesome spot. These 5-minute slugfests. The matches themselves really held up, as did the promo work, as did the feuds around it. It was incredible. But then, he got too many injuries, so he had to go. Fast forward to the weekend of, the 15th and 16th of June, about 2 years later in 2013. And I remember catching up with the internet. There was legitimate rumours going around. Mark Henry might retire on Monday. Looks like there's a retirement angle planned for Mark Henry. I think it was even in Texas, which is, of course, where he's from. I can't confirm that. I might be wrong. But, so you've got all this going into Raw. And it sort of made me think, oh, well, it's happening. Fair play. This will be nice. I'll see how it goes. And then John Cena had just done, a United States Championship promo. And out comes Mark Henry. He's in a pink suit. Or a salmon suit, but people call it different colours. Some people call it red. I think those people are wrong. And he walks out with his wrestling boots. And he puts his boots at the top of the ramp and just leaves them there. And he's not Mark, he is normal Mark Henry. He's smiling, he's relaxed, his shoulders are back. And from Hall of Pain Mark Henry, who was this force. And he puts his boots down, he smiles, he's kind of got a bit of moisture in his eyes, and he's looking around at everyone, and he walks down to the ring, and he just and they're playing up on commentary, oh, we've been hearing this, I think this is Mark Henry hanging up his boots for good. There's the symbolic act of leaving his boots, not so much in the ring, but there. And he just speaks normally to everyone. And John Cena goes to leave to let him have his moment. He's like, no, man, I want you to stay here, listen to this. I was already here about 5, 6, 7 years when this man broke into the company, and he has gone on to be everything that we all thought he could be. He's amazing. Like, give a hand for John. And then the crowd booed John, because this was the time when everyone hated John Cena. And so Cena's there on the apron, playing his part perfectly, sort of like applauding Mark when he needs it. And he just goes on and speaks normally about his career. There are genuine chants from the crowd of "Thank you, Henry." There's a sexual chocolate chant that makes him laugh, and it's just all so naturalistic. Cena's clapping. Henry jokes about his career, and he ends it by saying, and all this time I've been on the road, I've been travelling around, I just want to say, baby. And someone from the crowd yells, Mae Young! And he just goes, not Mae Young. And that he broke that bit as well. It was such a good promo. Like, it was a genuinely great retirement promo. And he says, not Mae Young, it's my daughter. Baby, I'm coming home. And you're like, what a lovely way to do this. Cena gets in the ring. They pose with the title, like they hold it up. And then, they pose some more. Goes on way too long for it to think it to be an angle. And then Henry picks up Cena, world's strongest slam, and screams at him, you think it was that easy? You think it was that easy? And he walks off, and then they have a sort of a lackluster feud after that. But what a promo. I bought into it completely. So did everyone else. The one bad part of it is that I can no longer see or take retirement angles seriously.
Oh, wow.
I remember when Edge retired, which was the following year. And he was doing the speech on Raw, and I just thought, nope.
Angle.
Nope, this isn't happening. He just won the title. So, yeah.
Defended the title.
Did he defend against Del Rio? Oh, yeah, okay then. But yes, that was, it was amazing.
I got that. That's very good.
I've got a little quote here, actually. Yeah. So Mark Henry actually was sent a text from the Big Show after this. Apparently it worked a lot of the boys backstage. I guess the Big Show's message was the best. He left me a message and said he is going to kill me, that he was sitting on the couch with his wife crying and said, that's how you do me, you use me, you use my feelings. And I said, oh, my bad.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's how good it was. Big Show bought into this, watching it on telly.
Very good.
There you go. So what's your number 5?
Whatever return this is. So I've picked something here from you mentioned a very lackluster feud between Mark Henry and John Cena. Mine is also from a bit of a lackluster feud between Team WWF versus the alliance of WCW and ECW during the Invasion angle. And the whole thing had been built up around Vince McMahon was looking to bring back. He didn't just need Steve Austin to lead his team. He needed the old Stone Cold.
Oh, yeah.
And he used to cut these promos on, Austin. And this is great. I think it was on SmackDown. And he was, in the ring going, I need the old Stone Cold. I don't need a Stone Cold that gives me hugs. I don't need a Stone Cold that plays the guitar, that goes a cowboy hat. I need the old Stone Cold. And he's like, I need you. And Austin doesn't say anything. He just walks away. And Austin, McMahon's in the ring going damn it, Steve, turn around, come back, give me a stunner, damn it. It's just wonderful performance by McMahon. And then on the Raw, it's the Raw before Invasion. I think it was before Invasion. It might have been a couple of weeks before Invasion. I'm pretty sure it was the Raw before Invasion.
The Go Home Raw.
The Go Home Raw. And Team W, the whole show, Austin has been in this bar. He's been in the Friendly Tap, which is Tim White's bar. Referee Tim White's bar, and he's in there and he's drinking beer, and Jim Ross is just really angry that Steve's not here. Steve's not here to help Team WWF to lead this team. He's in some bar somewhere playing pool. And so we keep cutting back to him, and then throughout the show you see they have this team address. The Undertaker makes a speech, JBL makes a speech, they roll in classy Freddie Blassie to make a speech, and Steve Austin's watching this from the bar, and then he just smacks down the pool cue, and he's like, and he storms out the bar. And then you just see the Alliance are beating down Team WWF all over the building, out in the parking lot, in the backstage area, in the ring. It's an all-out war. The WWF can't stand. They can't stand up against the likes of Sean Stasiak and Mark Jindrak and Gregory Helms. They're just getting beat down by these megastars. But thankfully, while they're outside and the Hollies are being beaten up, who should return But the old Stone Cold, he pulls up in his pickup truck, he just comes out, just lamps these dudes that are outside and throwing them all over stuff, then goes indoors, finds some WCW jabronis like Chuck Palumbo and just like starts effing them into stuff, and just throwing everyone everywhere. And it's in the ring, and the crowd at this point are like, Austin, because this is the Austin we've been wanting since he turned heel at WrestleMania. And all of a sudden, the glass shatters, and his awful, disturbed music hits, and the old Stone Cold walks down, and the crowd are just going insane. Jim Ross is going insane on their headset. He comes down, stunners all around. There's like 25,000 stunners are delivered. Team WWF stand victorious. And despite the fact that the invasion is a dreadful, dreadful failure by catastrophic accounts, catastrophic levels, that was a great moment. And it was the crowd popping huge for the return of Steve, like the old Stone Cold. Loved it.
This wasn't part. This must have been before, because Austin was still a heel. Maybe it was after. But one of the only times I can remember Undertaker corpsing on camera was that promo backstage, and it's like Undertaker, Kane, Angle, Austin, Vince, maybe Jericho.
He was on Team WWF, yeah.
And everything that Vince says, Austin repeats the last line of.
Yeah.
And after a while, honestly, Undertaker is struggling to keep it together, and he actually has to look down for a moment. Oh, it's great to watch.
You love seeing Wrestler's Corpse. You talked about that on the Patreon podcast for this month on Survivor Series 98.
Who was that, the corpse?
It was the Boss
Man, yeah, when Vince was going, He
was adjusting his glasses and adjusting his notes before
when
announcing.
Vince was drawing it out for all the heat. Okay, so number 4 I've got, probably for no surprise to anyone, because I wax lyrical about it all the time, the Festival of Friendship from this year.
Yeah.
The most recent
was it really this
entry.
year?
Yeah, it was February. It was before
of course
Fastlane.
it was before
Don't you remember Fastlane?
Of course it's before Fastlane.
Roadblock's the end of the line.
Yeah. God, do you know what? Fastlane feels like a lifetime ago.
Well, it does feel like last year, because our years run from WrestleMania to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, what more can you say about Festival of Friendship? Not always the best storyline with Jericho and Kevin Owens, because they're... Are you right? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry.
You're just adjusting your hat.
I was adjusting, mate.
You had a stray hair, that's what it was.
Could you see it?
I could see it, yeah. It's been bugging me forever. I'm glad you've sorted that out. So, yeah, Owens and Jericho, best friends. Jericho is the United States champion. No, he just lost it to Roman Reigns by this point in the Royal Rumble. Of course, Owens is the long-running Universal champion. Not a perfect storyline for them. The way they continued to tease breaking up, and then it turned out not to be a breakup, but the motivations were all off. But their chemistry together, that's what got Raw through some very, very rough months. And you really bought into the characters. Like, the storyline wasn't very good, but the characters were amazing, and it all built up to the Festival of Friendship. And it was just a perfect... I still think it is the best in-ring sort of gimmick segment WWE have ever done, in terms of, like, I think it's better than the This Is Your Life with The Rock. That, of course, is a close second. But yeah, it started off with very, very funny humour of Jericho trying to be very, very friendly and Owens not liking any of it. Then you switch into genuine feels, where Jericho says, "Look, man, this has been like one of my favourite runs of my career, me working with you." And then you're like, oh, yeah, it feels real, and you buy into it. And then it flips it all on its head with one of the best uses of dramatic irony I've ever seen in WWE. Dramatic irony, just in case you're not familiar with the term, is when the audience cotton onto something before the character on screen does. And this is, usually you do it with, like, you show the bomb counting down underneath the table, and, everyone's sitting around the table. The audience knows there's a bomb there. The characters don't, so that creates tension. And you had it in that moment where Jericho lifts up the list. He can't see that it says the list of KO. Perfectly directed. This is like a scene from a movie.
They don't make wrestling shows.
They don't make wrestling shows.
They make movies.
Why is my name on here? And then we figure it out just before Jericho figures it out. Then Jericho figures it out. Heartbreaking stuff. Brilliant end. Like, how often did WWE do a brilliant payoff to a storyline.
No, I
That's
agree.
quite rare. So yeah, Festival of Friendship. I love it to bits.
Yeah. Also, it led to a lackluster feud.
Another payoff. So maybe it was a crescendo, and then the payoff was actually the match wasn't very good.
No, Vince McMahon certainly didn't like it.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. That's a different kind of heartbreaking.
I just didn't realise, actually, I've just seen another one of yours. Maybe
Don't spoil it.
No, okay, I won't spoil it. So number 4, again, not really in any order, and it's another return here. Not quite as big as a return of Stone Cold Steve Austin, or the old Stone Cold, but this is from February 2000, and it's the storyline has been about Cactus Jack has kind of like helped the Radicals come into the WWF, and because the Radicals tried to join the WWF, but Triple H and the McMahon-Helmsley era were just like, no, you got to all have matches for your jobs. The SmackDown, they lost all their matches. So come Raw, the Radicals come out and they said, we just want to thank Cactus Jack for helping us, giving us this opportunity. And then Triple H comes out and he says, like, you don't want to thank him. You want to thank the guy that signed your contracts. And then the Radicals beat down Cactus Jack and they beat him up. And it leads to this big old match to culminate at the end of the night. It's going to be the Radicals and Triple H and X-Pac. And it's going to face off against Cactus Jack, and if you can find some teammates, because you're Cactus Jack and you're a loser, no one likes you, try and find some teammates. Cactus Jack does find some teammates. He finds teammates in The Rock, and Too Cool getting a main event rub with the likes of Triple H and the Radicals and stuff. Like,
they were super over at the time.
Super over at the time, and like Rikishi's there as well, so you've got like the three of them with Cactus Jack and The Rock. It's a big 10-on-10 match. And in the end, kind of all, as you would imagine, it all breaks down. It all breaks down into this big old brawl, and with DX and the Radicals beating down the good guys. The lights go out, and it's darkness in the arena. JR's like, what is this? What's going on? And who should walk out onto the stage? But Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer there in this black and red suit looks absolutely awesome. He's pulling the Paul Bearer face. And then Kane's music's playing, and big pyro. Oh, man. And then, what have I got? So, yeah, like, it's utter carnage. The Outlaws have already run out. They're beaten down. It's like a 7-on-5 advantage. And then Kane comes out, and he's just fighting off all 7 of these dudes on his own. They try and run at him. He's just hitting them all over the show. The crowd pops so big for Bearer, and they pop even louder for Kane. It's such a great moment. The only downside I would say is that X-Pac was the one that kind of ran him off, because he was the one that screwed him with the relationship with Tori. Really, he should have been targeting X-Pac, but X-Pac kind of like gets out of there a bit too quick. He just punches him and then X-Pac runs away. Really, he's just giving choke slams to the Radicals and Billy Gunn, who takes one hell of a choke slam, by the way.
Billy Gunn's a great seller.
He goes well up and goes well down. It's just a great moment. I'm a bit of a Kane mark, which is why it kind of like this latest run upsets me so much. But I loved it. I loved it. So awesome.
I got a lot of YouTube comment heat for saying that I was not impressed with Kane's most recent run.
Really?
I think a lot of people are going to love Kane whatever, and any critique of Kane, they're going to say, no, you're wrong, and shout.
Yeah.
So
I can kind of see that, but for me, I mean, I'm such a Kane mark, but I appreciate that pretty much anything post 2002, maybe 2003, has been quite bad. Especially his long run as Uncle Fester Kane, I did not like at all. He had his series when he started doing promos with music out in the ring.
Yes.
Very, very bad. Yeah, not great.
Especially because we watched the Survivor Series in 1998, where he's big, red, colourful Kane.
He's the big red machine.
And he's so athletic. Oh, if only you could listen to our review of that pay-per-view. What a plug for the Patreon exclusive podcast. So mine at number 3 of the This Decade Raw moments.
A moment that people very much enjoy.
Yes. Dolph Ziggler's Money in the Bank cash-in the Raw after WrestleMania 2013.
What a year 2013 was for you.
8th of April. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it was all good, though. It was like, it was these peppered moments of awesomeness. But yeah, this was pre-3 hours, I think. Maybe.
I don't know about that.
Happier times, maybe. I can't remember. Anyway, so we all know the story. I think that WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania, for me, had only become a thing the previous year. Because that was Fandango, or maybe it was Yes.
I think it was this year.
Was it? It was, okay, so the
Because
Raw after
I think
WrestleMania.
Fandango was the year after.
Or Yes was the previous year.
Yeah, God, I can't remember.
So it was a new thing. It was like
It
in
had-
its budding phases.
WWE hadn't branded it yet.
No, it was just like it's a passionate crowd. They're still trying to like, oh, I don't
It's
like
Bizarro
it.
World.
I don't like it. They're having too much fun
They're-
at a wrestling show.
They're cheering the heels
Yeah.
and booing the baby faces.
But now they've totally owned it and kind of choked the life out of it a little bit. And turned it into a bit of a smarky crowd. This was the good old times. And Alberto Del Rio I can't even remember who the match was against, but he wrestled the Open in one of the first matches of the show. Roberto Rodriguez is still out there with him. Back when what a good act that was.
Such a great act.
Don't know why they broke them up. And Del Rio had just won. He's a babyface at this point, and the crowd sort of knew what was going to happen. Like everyone could feel it. Dolph Ziggler's music hits. As soon as Ziggler's music hits, because he's got Money in the Bank, and Ziggler was so over back then. I had one of the only things I ever bought off of Barbershop Window was a Dolph Ziggler hoodie. Although I don't actually think it wasn't an official merchandise range, but he would occasionally appear on Zack Ryder's Long Island IC story, whatever it was called.
True Long Island story.
Yeah, and he would have these really, really cool promo segments called #Heel. I was like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever. It's kayfabe, but it's the... So I got a #Heel hoodie that was my pride and joy. But it was actually pretty rubbish. Mm-hmm. But I loved it. And so I was very into Ziggler. So was everyone else. Everyone was super into Ziggler. We all thought it was going to be the next big thing. And at this point, he'd actually been packaged with a faction of AJ Lee and Big E Langston. He had a full name back then.
Because they looked like they looked like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. It looked a very weird mix.
It looked like Cloud, Barrett and Tifa. It was hilarious.
I don't get that reference, but sure it fits.
What a nerd.
They get a huge pop. They walk down, they look mean, and Scott Armstrong, he gives the Money in the Bank briefcase, and the crowd are going insane. It's like one sustained pop that somehow gets larger in various bits. And then the great thing is, you'd expect Ziggler to just hit the move and win, like most Money in the Bank cash-ins do. No, it's drawn out. Famasa, kick out. And everyone's like, okay, they're not going to let Ziggler lose, are they, to troll us? And then Ricardo's at ringside pounding, and Del Rio catches Ziggler in an armbar, and it is in forever, and Ziggler is screaming, and like, he's obviously the heel, but he just comes off like a baby face, Ziggler, and he's so close to tapping, but he gets out, hits the zigzag, wins, huge pop, and it's like, what a moment, and everyone is so into it, but what I really enjoy about this is how happy Ziggler is. You know, because I think it was his first world title win. And he is screaming.
His first proper one, anyway. I think he had like all those duff ones with Edge.
Sure, yeah,
which didn't really count.
So he's like celebrating so hard with his arms like this. His eyes go in. He goes cross-eyed. And maybe he's trying to be Shawn Michaels still. And he's it just makes you... It sort of made me realise, man, I want to do something that makes me feel like that. Yeah.
And look where you are now.
Yes.
I remember the WrestleMania before that. I say I remember it. I don't remember it particularly well because what I'm about to say sounds very spotty in terms of my memories.
Sure.
But I'm almost certain, when I was doing my predictions, I'm almost certain on the pre-show, or it might have been on the main show, but Dolph and Big E were going for the tag titles. Mm. And I think maybe it was on the main show, AJ Lee was going for the Divas Championship or something along these sorts of lines. Because my prediction for that WrestleMania was, my prediction was that Ziggler and Big E were going to win the tag straps, AJ was going to win the Divas Championship, and then Ziggler was going to cash in and win win the World Championship on WrestleMania.
All the belts.
And they were going to end the night with all of them standing there holding up all of the belts. And they're going to be this Ultra unit. Maybe I just really like Ultra units that win all the belts.
I think you just like getting people over.
That's what it is.
Which is, that would have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it got him over for a little bit, but once again, led to a lackluster feud.
Speaking of getting over, because Dolph Ziggler had a concussion, it sort of fizzled out.
Yeah, this is going to be our first one here, which is like a big Raw moment. That didn't lead to a lackluster feud. Hey! So this actually comes in the middle of a feud, and it's January 4th, 1999, one of my all-time favourite episodes of Raw, which is when Mankind won his very first WWF Championship. It's a great main event between Mankind and The Rock, and they've got all sorts of screwiness outside. You've got the corporations, you've got Boss Man and Shamrock and Vince and Shane all around the outside, and then you've got good guys DX, you've got Triple H with the Road Dogg and Billy Gunn and X-Pac all cheering on Mankind, and there's this big old schmoz around the ring, there's a big old schmoz in the ring, there's weapon shots, there's this, that and the other, all sorts of commotion. The only thing that makes this bad is that Michael Cole is doing commentary, and it should have been JR, but unfortunately JR is Bell's palsy, so he couldn't do this show. This is when he was out for an extended period of time. And obviously this is made famous because on WCW Nitro, Tony Schiavone revealed the result. It was a taped show. So they said, like, if you flip over and watch Raw now, you're going to see Mankind, who wrestled here as Cactus Jack, win the WWF Championship. That'll put butts in the seats. Poor old Tony Schiavone, he's become the butts, excuse the pun, of jokes ever since. He was just told just doing what he was told to do. Poor old Tony Schiavone, I do feel for him. But anyway, if you did flip over and watch this moment, all of a sudden, once again, the glass shatters, and the crowd are already rabid, but when that glass shatters and Austin's music, his good music, hits, man, that crowd just goes banana and just absolutely loses it. Comes down, stunners all round. Mick Foley, Mankind, wins the WWF Championship. And credit to Michael Cole, he does sell this moment very well. He's like Mick Foley, Mrs. Foley's baby boy, sleeping in cars, this, that, and the other, jumping off roofs just for this moment. And he cuts a promos and I did it, I'm the champion, holding it aloft. DX holds him up onto his shoulders. What a feel-good moment. And it led to a kick-ass feud because then you had the Royal Rumble at the end of the month with the great, it's difficult to watch now, street fight between... I Quit match between The Rock and Mankind. Then you had their halftime heat match, the empty arena match, and then you had another match after that. And it's just such a shame that with all this, Mankind wasn't in the main event of WrestleMania 1999 when he really should have been. It should have been Mankind, Austin, and Rock. But instead it was just Rock and Austin. And apparently the reason for that is Shawn Michaels was the one who said no. And he convinced Vince that Mania main events should only be one-on-one. Which obviously didn't apply when he was in the main event.
Sure, I was going to say.
With Triple H and Stevie Richards.
Stevie, what a career.
What a career he had.
Oh, yeah, that's spine-tingling there, remembering that.
Great moment.
Well, what a moment. So I've got a really amazing moment
that led to
a lackluster feud. So the day is June 7th, 2010. It's a Raw. It's 3 hours long because it's a special Viewer's Choice episode. It was a bad episode of Raw. I remember watching this because I would watch the next morning before I would go to work. I'd get up very early and watch it on my Sky recorded repeat thing. The A-Team, the cast of the A-Team were the special guest hosts. So Bradley Cooper, Jeremy Piven. Is that right?
Jeremy Piven, are you sure?
No, I'm mixing up.
You're thinking of Summerfest.
I'm thinking of Summerfest. Anyway, the A-Team were guest hosts. Bradley Cooper was definitely there.
Liam Neeson wasn't there, surely.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Maybe he was under the ring doing I Will Find You. So here's a few of the excellent matches the viewers chose. Kozlov and Santino Marella in a dance-off.
Oh, man, brilliant. What more could you want? Kozlov, remember when he was in a feud with Triple H when he first came in? Remember how WWE and TNA got into a negotiating war over the services of Kozlov?
He's a big guy.
And Jerry Jarrett, disgruntled with TNA and Jeff, took Kozlov to WWE. Yeah. That was him sticking it to his son Jeff.
Randy Orton beat Edge in a one-arm match. And Maurice won a Divas Battle Royal. So, all-time classic. The main event was John Cena versus CM Punk. CM Punk was with the Straight Edge Society at the time. Really, really good act. And then 10 minutes into the match, Wade Barrett walks down the ramp. And you're like, oh, that's Wade Barrett. He just won
NXT season 1.
The debut season of Nexus. I've given the game away. Of NXT, back when that was a sort of a competition-based show. And then some more of the contestants from that season hop over the barricade. And then some more. And then they surround the ring. And this is, of course, the first Nexus invasion that was just insanely brilliant. They beat up Luke Gallows right away. And I don't think Joey Mercury was, maybe he was, but then they drag out CM Punk and they beat him down a bit, and then the Straight Edge Society run away. Then Nexus get in, they knock out the referee, and then they surround John Cena, and Cena's looking at them, smiling, like, okay, we're going to do this, are we? And then they just pounce on him, and they beat him up, but then they do what really sticks in everyone's mind, and that is destroy the entire area, rip up the ring mats, tear up the padding around the ring, the apron comes off, the rope, did they even take the ropes off and stuff? Yeah, because they used that to choke Cena. It was incredible. Was it Tom Phillips? Tom Phillips is the ring announcer? No, that's the... He was the old ring announcer who wrote the book. He was bullied by JBL.
Justin Roberts.
Justin Roberts. Daniel Bryan got fired because he was choking Justin Roberts with his own tie.
And spat on Cena.
It was insane. And it almost meant more because everything on Raw for the 2 and a bit hours beforehand was so rubbish. And then it was punctured by this real effective moment of realism. And you're like, I hated everything that came before it. But would this have worked so well if that wasn't also rubbish? I don't think that was what their intention was. But yes, the Nexus invasion, unfortunately, it led to absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But what a moment.
You and I watched it again quite recently because I was doing top 4 SummerSlam angles that failed.
Yeah.
I think that was the list or something like that. And that was because it led to that SummerSlam match where Team Cena, or Team WWF, Team WWE, unnecessarily won the match.
And Cena beat 2 guys. It was Barrett and Gabriel.
After being DDT'd onto the concrete. Yeah. And it was a real disappointment. But there's some great moments watching that back, especially when you read some of the interviews and stuff. So Daniel Bryan choked out Justin Roberts, and they already knew that something bad was happening, or something bad was going to happen to him. Because you can actually watch, if you go back and watch it, Heath Slater grabs the rope and goes over to John Cena to choke him as well. And Cena says, and you can't hear it, but you can. I've seen in interviews afterwards. Cena said, "Don't choke me. Don't choke me because that's not allowed." And you can watch Heath go do it and then stop and walk back and stop what he's doing. But it's a great angle. It's so good. What an effective way to debut 7 lads.
Yeah.
Even Michael Tarver looks great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like invasion angles. There's a lot of them. But this was so unique. Somehow they really made it feel special. I can't. It will be hard to do another one without feeling like a rip-off of this.
Yeah.
Which is a testament to a great angle.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So, I've got another one here. My number 4. Again, no, not in any order. This was from 2000, summer of 2000. You got to remember, 2000 was really dominated by Triple H and the McMahon-Helmsley era. Triple H was WWF champion. He was running the show. He was screwing over all the baby faces. And we got into this situation here where at the start of the show, Chris Jericho, mid-carder Chris Jericho, convinces Triple H that he should have a title shot. He wants a shot at the WWF Championship, and Triple H is like, yeah, that's absolutely fine because I've got my backup around here. But who does Jericho have in his corner? Only the bloody Acolytes. The Acolytes Protection Agency, the APA. It's the APA come down and they run off Shane McMahon. And anyway, they have this match, and it's a pretty good match. And then Stephanie slides in the Women's Championship for I think it's the Women's Championship. She slides in a championship for Triple H to use. But Y2J ducks that, and then he gets the belt, and he hits Triple H with it. And then so they've always had this feud between Triple H and Earl Hebner. Triple H's like, I don't want to work with Earl Hebner. I don't think you're a very good ref because he's a babyface ref. And so Hebner comes in, he slides in, count, great near fall. Triple H kicks out, and then Triple H gets up and he starts arguing with Earl. And he starts pushing Earl, and then he pushes Earl, and then Earl's just like fighting Earl Hebner. Instead of boom, pushes Triple H over, and then he falls over. Jericho hits the Lion Salt. Earl Hebner, fast count, 1, 2, 3. Jericho's the new WWF champion. And everyone's like, what? Like, the crowd have this awesome moment where they're sitting around like, there's going to be a title change here. And then there was. And they were like, everyone pops huge because Jericho's the WWF champion. And commentary's going crazy. The crowd's going crazy. Jericho's going crazy. Unfortunately, later on in the show, Triple H convinces Earl Hebner that he will reverse the decision, so Triple H gets the belt back. But for that brief moment, Chris Jericho was the WWF champion, and that really felt like this was going to be the ascent of Jericho into the main event. And it would take him another year and a half, but he would get there.
Yeah, that was great.
Cool.
I didn't mind that it was reversed.
I agree.
Yeah.
But but I think for me the disappointment comes from the fact that like nothing was ever built off of it. You know, it took them another year and a half to realise that, actually, maybe this Jericho's got something. Interestingly, he's in 2 of our favourite Raw moments.
Yeah, well, he's that good.
2 very different decades.
Well, I guess 1, 2, only 2. Oh, okay. Well, 3-hour Raws feature in 2 of mine, but not of the modern day era because the 3-hour Raw was for the Nexus one. The other one was about 9 months after. Oh, actually, no, almost exactly a year later. On the 27th of June 2011, this is my number 1 this decade pick of Raw moments. It was an episode of Raw Roulette. So just like the viewer's choice, it was another 3-hour episode with stupid matchups. Booker T was like spinning the wheel. It was in Las Vegas, so it had that gambling theme. And but at the end of a match of John Cena versus R-Truth, CM Punk cuts a promo.
Sorry. John Cena versus who?
R-Truth.
Main events are R-Truth?
Yeah, main events are R-Truth.
Yeah. You can put him on a team with Brock Lesnar, that's fine.
CM Punk cuts his infamous pipe bomb promo.
He certainly does.
And I feel like I talk about this about once a week, but it's that damn good. It saved me for being a professional wrestling fan. I was nearly done with wrestling, and Punk was one of the only things keeping me alive. And then WWE felt so fake at the time. Ring of Honor was where it was at for me. And then Punk punctured all of that with this magnificent worked shoot promo. But I didn't know it was worked at the time. I thought, what just happened? Did he actually say the stuff that we're all thinking? The way they flash up like you don't even have the copyright logo. They do it earlier on in the night, so they don't have to do it. So it looks like they cut Punk's mic, and then the broadcast just goes to black as he's screaming at the camera. It was also real, and for once, it actually had a good payoff in the short term. At least.
Yeah, I was going to say, it did lead to a very pants payoff down the line.
Yeah, but this was the setup for their Money in the Bank match, which is one of the best pay-per-views WWE's ever done. And, a 5-star match with Punk and John Cena in the main event, with one of the best pieces of in-match booking I've ever seen.
God, if only there was like a pay-per-view Patreon podcast that people could listen to where 2 people, such as you and I, review that pay-per-view.
I'd be into that.
Yeah, and talk about that angle at great length.
Yes, please. Maybe go over to WrestleTalk's Patreon page to see if there is anything like that for Money in the Bank 2011. But what's your not number 1 but final?
Not number 1 but my final choice. Once again, it is the Attitude Era. Of course, it's going to feature this man, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this is going to be a mind-blowing time for you. This is when Stephanie McMahon was a babyface.
What?
Not only was she a babyface, she was a sweet and innocent babyface. She'd only recently been brought into the company as an on-screen character. She was the daughter of Vince McMahon, Daddy's little girl. She's just nice Stephanie McMahon. Look how nice and innocent that girl is. What a nice girl. I bet you she's going to grow up to do very, very nice things for this company. Little did we know. But anyway, Stephanie McMahon gets kidnapped by The Undertaker. Great moments when Stephanie gets into the back of the limo and says driver, I need to go. And then the visor comes down and it's The Undertaker. And I'm going to turn around. This is not going to work for podcast listeners. But he just turns around and goes, "Where to, Stephanie?" Ha 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 ha. And then she goes, "Dad!" And he drives off and this Undertaker is kidnapped. Stephanie, and he takes her to Raw because they're going to have the unholy union where the Undertaker is going to marry Stephanie McMahon and bring her into the Ministry of Darkness. So you've got all the ministry out there. You've got the Undertaker. She's tied to the Undertaker's symbol, not a cross. She's tied to the Undertaker's symbol, and the Undertaker's there doing his big Buffy the Vampire Slayer baddies type stuff that he was doing, and Paul Bearer's reading off about all this unholy union garbage. Great moment. Jim Cornette's on commentary, so it's proper corny time. And then the glass shatters, and Austin comes down, and he breaks up this unholy union, sterners everyone, saves Stephanie, and there's this brilliant moment, and it's great acting from Stephanie because she's so afraid and just tears in her eyes, and she just hugs Steve. He doesn't hug her back, but she just hugs him. And you've got Jim Cornette on commentary going he didn't save her for Vince McMahon. He saved her because it was the right thing to do. it's a great bit of commentary from Corny, but a great moment. And I mean, I sound like I'm taking the piss when I call him a Buffy the Vampire Slayer baddie and all of this like Ministry of Darkness garbage, but I loved the Ministry. I thought the Ministry was the coolest thing because it's 1998 and I'm like, I'm 12 years old and I like metal music and I'm like, this is so cool. And I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I'm like, this is awesome. What a great moment. Loved it.
Well, that's all we've got time for.
Man, we went a long time.
But what are your favourite moments from Raw? Let us know in the comments down below. And of course, click these videos that have just appeared to catch up with the latest WrestleRamble or WrestleTalk news. Support WrestleTalk and press the subscribe button. Pledge on Patreon to get access to those wonderful Patreon exclusive podcasts. And order issue 1 of the WrestleTalk magazine. My voice is going now. This has been Luke Owen. I've been Oli Davis. And that was Rambling.